I just hit.
It's 9 o'clock and we will begin our meeting. Okay.
So item 1 is the approval of the ACC agenda.
Item 1 is the approval of the ACC agenda. Can I get a motion?
I move to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Patrick, that was you, right?
Yes.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. Item 2 is our consent agenda for the approval of the January 23rd, 25 meeting minutes.
I have a brief typo to point out.
Go ahead, John.
Under the attendees, Joel Carter, it says left at 11:10 a.m. The meeting started at 5 p.m. So that must be some kind of copy paste thing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I will strike that.
Move to approve.
I have one other change.
Oh, sorry.
John. For item 19, in the minutes, it states 15 degrees, and we want to change that to 15%. Actually, quite a big difference. So with those two revisions, any other revisions or comments about the minutes? So with those two revisions, can I get a motion?
Motion to approve the meeting minutes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Let's start with item 16. Bob from 6 High Cliff Lane.
Well, thank you.
We do have 2 more people who have joined.
Okay. Should we get Bob through first, or you want to?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Let's talk to Bob and look at item number 16.
Yeah.
Does anybody on the committee have any? Yeah. Just a second, Bob. I'll see if anybody has any questions for you or comments.
Okay. Thank you.
We got your application and I think you've got an arborist report. Let's see.
It's from the
Or a tree removal statement. It's not an actual arborist report. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, I have the arborist report. I'm not sure if I submitted that along with it, but there's 2 trees. One tree was topped when the builder built the house and was meaning to take it down for a couple of years, and the other one he noticed there's several cracks on it, and it's got a fork on the top, and the boat kind of right behind the farm.
It looks like you got the county permission.
Yes.
Bob, for the record, could you please email that arborist report to us?
I sure can.
Thank you.
Bob, if it's convenient, you can send it to me and I will distribute it. ahelvagian@suddenvalley.com.
ACC admin.
Even better.
Okay. Well, I think I can respond to the email that you sent me with the information.
Flip my wrist around. Perfect.
Okay, that'd be great. I'll get that right out to you as soon as we're done.
Thank you.
Any other comments about this removal?
My only comment is I think we're very well put together package. It seemed like he's got the requisite documentation, and appreciate the detail in it. And I'd make a motion to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay.
Well, thank you. Well, one of the things I'm just curious, since you guys have been doing this for a while, on the report from Whatcom County, it says I have to replace each tree I take down with 3 similar trees.
We sometimes make that request depending on the property. If it looks like it's really going to leave a gap in an open space that needs to be refilled, we'll sometimes request that. At this point, we're not making that request.
I think it's really more of a best effort, Bob. If you feel it's appropriate, then go ahead, and if not, then we're fine with that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just also trying to kind of move things a little bit away from the house.
Understood.
What were the trees the one person said they recommended planting if they plant them, and ones to avoid?
Avoid hemlock and avoid
Alder.
Cedar are good.
Doug
and
firs are good.
Doug firs are good.
Okay.
And they're actually having a native plant sale from, I think
Yeah, I
it's
was
through
just
the
thinking
county.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I got some stuff last year and they had some really good starters there.
But the hill is so steep behind me. Yes, it's not a hill that you can even barely walk down anyway.
Yeah, I've got some of those myself.
Yeah, right above Glacier Ridge. Okay, well, thank you very much. Do I get something in writing that I need to give to the tree guys?
You'll get an acknowledgement from ACC admin about the approval.
Okay, sounds good. And I think they're scheduled to come out in about 2 weeks.
And
Okay.
you'll need a tree permit, but it'll be in the letter.
Okay,
It'll tell you what to do and how
Okay.
soon to do it.
sounds good. Well, if nothing else, I'll let you continue.
Thank you, Bob.
Alan,
Appreciate all
what
you
were,
guys' help.
Alan, what were the trees to avoid at Alder and what was the other one?
Hemlock.
Okay.
Alan, there's 2 new people.
Thank you. Darren of Darren and Devon. Sorry, I got to do my thing. Okay, and Mark. There we go.
What items are those, please?
Hang on. Mark is, what is that one? Oh, item number 8, 34 Sudden Valley Drive. Mark, that's you, right?
Yes.
Okay, and Darren is item 12, 8 Topper Drive, new front doors, storm door and tile. Do I have that right,
Yeah,
Darren?
I'm
Right.
sorry, what item was that?
Item 12, yeah. Good catch, Diane, thank you. Daniel, back to you.
All right. Let's talk to Darren. Item 12.
Okay,
Darren?
Yes. Sorry, this is his wife, Devin. We're both here.
Okay, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Could you tell us a little bit about your project? You sent us some good application and it's fairly clear, but I kind of wanted to hear in your own words what your plans are.
Yeah, absolutely. So we moved in this summer, and in the fall, we started having some crawl space issues. And part of the reason of that is because the floor of the entryway into the garage, which is the ceiling of part of the crawl space down below, is just plywood. It's unsealed. So the owner before us, when they added the addition, must never have put a floor there, just left it subfloor.
Mhm.
So it was recommended to us by our contractor to tile it. That way it'll seal it. We couldn't do like concrete or use the Trex decking because it's not, it's open down below. So tile was really the only material that would seal it to prevent moisture from coming in and then also have a usable and aesthetically pleasing way to get in and out of the garage. And then the front door, there were some issues when we moved in that the inspector found some moisture damage around the molding on the inside of the house. When our contractor came over, he found the sweep was defective. And then I just think the current front door is not to my aesthetic standards and it doesn't really match the house. So I would like to replace that with something that better matches the house and is more functional and isn't like letting moisture into the house. And then adding the storm door to that, we noticed during the windstorms that we had, since we're new to Sudden Valley, it's our first seasons here, there was some debris like flying at the door and getting into the house. And so we thought a storm door would be a better barrier to kind of, or at least a second barrier to help with things flying at the house because we don't have like any coverage in the front door. And then in the summer, we don't have air conditioning, so it would be nice to be able to have a screen and have extra airflow going in and out.
Okay, I like the choice of your new door.
Oh, thank you.
Anybody have any questions or comments about this application?
Daniel, just a question / comment. In the application, it talks about plans to paint the house this summer with a couple of specifications on the paint. Is this application for the work that's going to be done, which is very well described and I think a good addition or good change to the house? But is this application for that work as well as the painting, or just for this work with a heads up that we'll be back with a painting?
Just a heads up that we'll be back with the painting.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Can I get a motion on this?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Do we,
Dan made a motion to approve. Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right. Welcome to the neighborhood, and good luck with your work.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, item 8. Let's talk to Mark.
Good morning.
Good morning. I think we spoke to you a few months ago about tree removals.
Yeah, we had recently moved to Sudden Valley and we got those trees removed. But then another one came down for the bomb cyclones, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I saw the photos. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, everybody's been neighbors, communities, just been wonderful and helping us and doing well.
So the tree that came down, I guess it was healthy. It just couldn't withstand the storm. Is that correct? Because you were
That's-
pretty meticulous about the trees that were around your property, and I think you were pretty aware of any issues, and I think we helped you with that. Was this a healthy tree that just happened to fall?
Yeah. You were great, and Earthworks, our arborist Christopher, was great, and that was not a tree that was at all a concern. It was a tall, healthy fir on the SVCA lot owned behind us, and I
right.
think it's just that particular storm, it uprooted it.
All right. Looks like the so you're redoing your house. You're fixing it. There was one little hitch, though, is that you're changing the roofing material. Could you talk us through the reason why you need to change that? Because it's generally not approved to have two different types of materials on the roof. Talk us through that a little bit.
Yes, so everything in the house is going to be put back exactly as it was. The one change we're wanting to make is go to from the house currently is composite shingles to metal roofing, and the entire roof is going to be redone. So there's not going to be two types of materials. All shingles in all parts of the roof, including
Okay.
the back patio and over the front door, will all be torn out, and it will be new black metal roofing on the entire thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I may have misread that then.
Yeah, that's the only question I had on it. Otherwise, it looks good.
And I think that's a good upgrade. I've got the metal roof on my house, and I'm so happy that I do.
Good, Daniel. Thanks. Yeah, apologies if that wasn't clear. Yeah, it was just there's only sections of it that are damaged, but the whole roof will be redone.
Yeah, I think that'll be a really nice improvement.
Hey, Mark, just a quick observation, and this is just anecdotal. You might have a hard time getting roofing companies to come and clean your roof. Being a metal roof, they're kind of averse to getting up and crawling around on metal roofs, especially when they're
Oh.
that high off the ground. Just a quick comment for you
Okay.
to consider.
Good to know. And the roof wasn't built with anchors on it, but we're having them put anchors, so that'll help with safety and maybe help them feel more comfortable with that.
Yeah, I've got a metal roof too, and it does not have the anchors, and people will not go up to clean it. So I think anchors are a wise investment.
Okay.
You have trouble with that, let me know. I got a guy that's completely nuts. He'll go up on anything, so.
Oh, thanks, Dan. Well, and I used to be a rock climber, but I might be getting a little too old for going that high.
Don't do it.
Well, I think these people have been through enough, and this is a good application and good request. So if there's no other comments, I'd make a motion to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, Mark, you're good to go.
Thank you so much.
Okay, let's go to item 5 with Jay.
Yes, hello. How are you guys?
Hey, Jay. Okay, looks
All
like
right.
you have a tree that needs to be removed that wasn't on the original drawing. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, just to clarify, we had a architectural drawing initially, and I went back and dug through that, and it was marked with an R to be removed. It was just missed in the transfer when it got the architectural plans got copied over to our Sudden Valley site plan. So yeah, that's what I'm here for. This came to light because we're doing the dirt work, getting, prepped and taking a look at how everything's going to lay out with the driveway. And my excavator told me he's most certainly going to compromise those roots. And I am here to be proactive to let you guys know before we just get in there and start doing damage. So.
Okay, yeah, I was looking at the old drawings, and maybe you could help me understand them a little bit. I'm going to share my screen for a second. I think.
Sure.
See if this works.
Excuse me.
Am I sharing now, or what's
Not yet.
I don't see anything on mine.
Okay, here we go. Is that? Do you see the drawing?
No.
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 Do I do anything to you?
Okay, no, I think I didn't push share. I just clicked on the screen.
There we go.
Okay. If you could just reconcile, this may just be my ignorance, but if you could just reconcile the difference in these two drawings for us, please. This is what I remember as the drawing, and this is from, I think, July of last year, maybe.
Yeah, so if you are pulling this from our initial Sudden Valley like application package,
Yeah.
then this has been revised several times because we met, I think, a total of maybe 4 times over the course of that summer to get it through the review process with ACC. And we had many changes, stormwater, retaining walls in the right of way, parking, etc. And so this is old for sure. The one that I attached for our discussion today is from the most recent one that was approved, and the only thing I did on it was circle and reference that tree that's in question.
So this is from the same application, and it may be that I'm misreading this, but we've got a nice curved driveway here. I don't know if you can see mine.
Yep, I got you.
And then this one here, what is this? Is this the foundation? What?
So that's still a retaining wall.
This looks similar to your most recent application, which has sort of this edge here that pushes it out into that tree area.
Yeah, well, so what you're looking at there, that's the architectural plan, and that's more schematic. It's not specific exactly how it's going to be. Our site plan is going to be more what it's going to look like. And that's the original architectural plan. I think that was what our architect handed to us, and you can see that circled tree is noted for removal. And then when it was changed over to our Sudden Valley site plan, it got missed.
Okay, and then even this area here, can you see my cursor?
I can, yes.
I think this was not going to be paved over, and then suddenly it is. Did we?
So again, this is old. This is our architect's very initial site plan that when he was doing up the plans for the house, this was his site plan of how he initially envisioned it. This has been through many revisions. And the only reason why I included it is because I just wanted to show you guys, like, hey, our architect actually recommended removing this tree a long time ago. We just missed it when we sort of took this information and redrew it into our Sudden Valley site plan. That's all the reason. That's why I'm showing this. This is most certainly outdated.
Well,
Daniel,
if you could just help, hold on just a sec, guys.
Yeah.
If you could just help us out. I mean, when we initially look at these drawings,
Mm-hmm.
we look at everything. We look at the tree, all the trees are going to be removed, and
Yep.
we consider, do we need all of those trees to be removed? And that's, we're looking at the big picture at that point.
Yeah. Right.
And oftentimes we see these, changes to the architecture
Mm-hmm.
that requires more trees to be removed. I mean, what can we do as a committee to avoid this? Because it seems like you could ask for 10 trees and we grudgingly approve that, and then suddenly it's 12 trees. What can be done to mitigate that situation?
I'm not sure. This isn't come up for, at least for us. This doesn't come up very often. I don't know if it does for you guys on other builds or when you go through this process, but I think really just I think you guys have done a good job of taking a look at things and saying, hey, because you've told me before as well, you might want to consider taking out that tree because the concern is that, when you excavate, you got to be aware of the critical root zone, and we think it's too close. We have removed trees. I think you guys have done a great job of pointing that out. I don't know if there's anything you could do more. Why we missed this one, both you guys missed it and we missed it, I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I think the confusion on my part was seeing this and seeing that tree, there's a drawing with that tree in there.
Yep.
With this, and it
Mhm.
seemed to be fine.
Hey, Daniel,
So that's why I never flagged it.
could you show
Yeah.
us page 3, Daniel,
On the
on the submission item 5?
That.
Yep.
Okay.
No, the tree in question does not have the red X through it, and I guess this is the original submission, and he put a little yellow line to that tree. I see a lot of X's
Mhm.
for the trees that were removed, but not for that particular one.
That's correct. You're exactly correct. That's why I'm here today. Is you can see the retaining wall gets precariously close to it. It was not marked for removal. It did not get removed, and we are now realizing it's way too close for us to be able to excavate to do that retaining wall, and we will most certainly compromise the critical root zone. So that's why I'm here today. You're exactly correct.
So
Well,
nobody
your
missed-
submission
nobody missed
says
it.
that it was originally marked for removal, but now you're saying it was not. Is that correct?
That's correct. So when I say it was originally marked for removal, it was originally marked for removal on page 2 of my submittal, which is the architectural plan. And just to be clear, that architectural plan, you guys have not seen that. That is not something that's ever been submitted. That's just something we got early from our architect that doesn't exist on any of our plans. And I'm just including that to let you know. Our architect did recommend it for removal early on. We just missed it when we redrew our site plan. That's the only reason why I included that.
So nobody missed anything. This tree was left out, and this is a request to now remove this tree. Because it's a simple.
Yes, that's correct, Dan. Yes, I'm just
Make
here
sure
to
that
request removal.
For the record, there wasn't, there was some inference that you missed it, we missed it, everybody missed it. We didn't miss anything. This is now a request to remove a different tree.
Yes, that's correct. When I say I missed it and you missed it, what I mean by that is I think if we would have been looking at this a little closer, we would have said, you know what, that tree is really close to where we know we're going to need to excavate. I know Joel Carter's generally very good about that. And of course, the onus is not on him to catch it. That's our responsibility. But you're right, Dan. I'm here.
And one of the things we do look at is if we see a tree that may or may not be saved, we may suggest things that maybe you could do to save that tree. But at this point, we've approved all your plans and you've started working, and now we're kind of pushed in a corner where that tree is going to have to come down. I mean,
believe
it's
me,
almost like we can't say anything now.
Yeah, well, and Daniel, to your point, I would prefer to leave the tree if at all possible. It's expensive. It slows things down for us. I would prefer to remove it if there was any other way. So for the record, you know, I don't want to remove this tree. But I unfortunately need to as well. Otherwise risk damage. And you guys have told me before, I know you're serious about this. I need to ask permission and not forgiveness. And I do not want to push you guys into that position where I come back, you know, however many weeks from now and say, hey, sorry, we wrecked the tree roots. You know, I don't want to be in that position. That's why I'm here today.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I just want to stress the point of how important it is to have an accurate depiction of what you intend to do.
I agree.
You know, sometimes we don't catch it if it's a little close until we see it as closely as you do, and how I know you spend a lot of time on your drawings and your workspace, so you have a better sense of what could be a risk to a tree. And sometimes we don't see that just from a drawing, but it is critical that you give these a good review so that you're giving us a really accurate representation of what your intentions are.
I agree.
May I ask the committee how they feel about getting an arborist to report on this? We're all just kind of shooting from the hip here. And then in the future resubmission, Jay could correct the inconsistencies here that they originally marked for removal when it was not, and so forth. I would recommend that we get an arborist to report on this.
I think that's a pretty good idea. I can't make the determination just based on this drawing. I'm not sure if anybody else feels comfortable with that, but I think that's a really good suggestion. I think going forward, that might be a good approach whenever there's a tree that's sort of in a gray area.
We did learn
also,
a meeting with the arborist about like what's a threat to a tree and what's not a threat to a tree, and this looks like it's a gray area, so I think that's a good approach, John. You make that motion.
I also would recommend that the arborist take a look at the trees at the bottom of the property downhill. When we were out there about a month or so ago, we noticed that it looks like 2 or 3 trees have been whacked by other trees as they were being felled. And we could easily see from the road that they're big chunks of the bark on 2 or 3 of the trees. I'm not sure. I think it's of the property on the left that have been damaged. I would get an arborist to take a look at that, or if Alan and Joel have that on their list of things to review down the road, that certainly would be a really good thing to have.
Yeah, do you know which trees we're talking about, Jay? The committee went out there a few months ago and saw that after you had cut some trees, there were 3 other trees that were damaged pretty badly. Have you talked to Alan or Joel about that, or what's the situation?
I have. So I am aware of it. And yeah, that's something I can certainly have the arborist look at while he's there. I'm unclear as to whether it's at 8 Valley View or whether it's at 10 Valley View. I think it might be at 8. I'm not sure, but yeah, I have been made aware of that. And there's been no specified action to this point.
Well, could we at this point request that you get an arborist report on this tree and those also, and we'll review this application again?
Sure. Yeah, that's fine. I can do that. I will request an arborist report and see what they come back.
Could I get, are there any comments about this? John, would you make a motion?
Motion to deny item 5, tree removal, Sovereign Homes, 8 Valley View Circle. We need an arborist report for that tree, and while they're at it, also the trees that appear to have been damaged when other trees have been taken down.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay. All right, thanks for working with us on that, Jay.
Yep.
Do you want
We'll
to
go down.
keep them around? Do
Yep.
item 15?
Item 15. Looks like you, have you changed that lighting yet, or are you just still intending to, Jay?
Taking it down. That's the only change we're proposing, just taking those chandeliers down. We took a look at the amount of lights on the exterior already. kind of made the determination that they're unnecessary for the space, and adding more lights isn't really in line with what you guys want to see anyways. So yeah, I'm here to just and I thought, and this is thank you to Diane, I thought that I could just take them down and we'd be good to go. Diane pointed out to me that not doing lights for what's approved is a change. So I'm here to request that change. Instead of doing the approved lights, we're doing no lights.
Okay. And for the record, I kind of like the chandelier, but as you know, Sun Valley is a little bit different with lighting. And I think that's why we came down the way we did on that.
I do understand.
Have both chandelier lights been removed?
If not yesterday, then they're going to today. I was out there yesterday. It's been precarious getting to the site. We've been slowed way down with what we're able to do, but I've got guys there today. And I was very clear that's something that needs to happen right away.
And with the previously approved exterior lighting, it looks like it's surface mounted. Was that ever implemented? Do you have actually surface mounts where these previously approved downward shining lights were supposed to be?
We do not. So the approved exterior lighting is a wall-mounted sconce style downshine light, and no, those were not implemented. And I'm here to just tell you we're going to do no lights. Chandeliers are coming down, and our request is to do no lights.
Why were there lights designed for that place in the first place?
I think early on we always throw those in on all of our submittals. We want to do that sconce style light. It's just kind of, it's worked for us in the past. It's what we generally do. And I don't know, it's hard to say. Once you build a house and you actually get to walk around the outside of it, you can see what the ambient light looks like. Truthfully, that's, in my opinion, the best time to make that call. I generally just err on the side of, we know these sconce style downshine lights work really well. So that's why we put them in there.
So
In your
I guess I'm
in your
curious.
it says that the chandeliers lights have been removed, and that was on the 30th, and I went by on Saturday and they were still there.
Yes, that's right. Yep.
Yeah, full statement you made in your request.
Well, I told my guys to get them removed, and they didn't get to it. I've got guys there all week. We haven't been able to get there because of the snow. My first day out there all week was yesterday.
Yeah, we're not up here to check on you on that. Joel and Alan will find that in the final inspection if it is still there. But
Oh, absolutely.
I think at this point we're just either approving or not approving his not putting in the lights that he initially intended, which is a construction change request.
I think the committee has a concern, Jay, that you previously approved exterior lightings that are wall mounted, and that the electricity is not there. Now you're removing chandelier lights, and so there's going to be no lights, exterior lights on these two porches. I guess the committee's got a concern that a future owner is going to come in and say there's no lights out here, and look up to where the chandeliers used to be hanging, and with an electricity and switches, turn it on and off, and then they're going to go ahead and do that. I guess this is sort of a catch-22. We're chasing the tail of the dog now.
Well, I guess, and this isn't to push back too much, John, but just like realistically, any homeowner could make the decision to change any lighting to lighting of their choice at any point. And it's on the onus of that new owner to go through the ACC to be able to approve it. Like, I do see what you're saying, but even if I had something up there that was approved, it doesn't necessarily stop a future homeowner from looking up and saying, hey, you know what would look really good? A chandelier. If you follow my logic on that, to a point, there's only so much I can do about what a future homeowner will get a wild hair to do.
I think what John's saying is the house would have been wired originally with sconce lighting as per the plan. Now it was wired differently. A homeowner is going to come in, and if it was wired for sconce lighting, I mean, if you'd installed the sconces, we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
You're correct. Correct.
So you deviated from what you told us you were going to do, and now there's going to be electrical wiring for a chandelier or some sort of overhead light. There's not going to be wiring for a sconce light. So the landowner or the homeowner's hands are a little bit tied unless they want to pull wiring for a sconce light. So I think all of this speaks to, Jay, is like staying consistent. Do what you tell us you're going to do, and not what, and don't just make it up as you go along. So because
Yeah.
you end up having to deal with the fallout later on when a homeowner comes in and says, well, I want to put up some sort of an overhead light, or puts up some sort of overhead light, and then Alan's got to run out there and deal with upset neighbors and so forth. So this is the importance of staying consistent with what you say you're going to do.
I don't think
I
the chandelier
agree.
lights. I don't think the chandelier lights were ever approved, were they?
No.
No, they were not. No, we had this discussion last time I was here, and Dan, reiterated the point to me that these never should have been installed. This is something that I should have asked permission for before just doing it. And that is my mistake, and I am definitely reaping what I've sowed on that, because I'm here again today.
I mean, well,
I guess the real question is, you've not convinced us that that space doesn't need a light.
Oh, have you guys seen it?
No, we haven't, but
We've seen the pictures.
Convince us. You have other lighting in that space?
We do. We've got there's quite a bit of recessed light in the cantilevered decks and the cantilevered section above the garage. There's quite a bit of light in that area. Yeah, as far as the balcony goes, there's outlets up there for lighting. If a future homeowner wanted to do lighting, there is also a fireplace in that area as well.
So in the space that was going to have those sconces and will not have it now, there is alternate lighting in that space.
There's alternate lighting in the surrounding area of that space. We've got.
So the answer is no.
Well, so it's not exterior lighting. There's a transom window above the door that lets light, and there's a chandelier light on the inside.
Right, that's the question. Is there exterior lighting? And your answer is no.
In the what area are you speaking of?
Where the sconce
areas
was supposed to be.
The two areas in question where the chandeliers are currently located.
Yeah, no, there is not.
All right. Well, it sounds like it. I mean, there was a reason it was designed with it in the first place, and it's. I mean, you could convince me if you said there's other lighting there in its place, but I'm not hearing that there is any lighting that would take the place of the sconce. Can you disabuse me of that notion?
Not specifically in those areas where there's currently the chandeliers. There's not other lighting in that area. There's lighting around.
Is there any issue with just keeping the current plan and going ahead and putting the sconce lighting in there?
I could do it. I'd prefer not to. If you guys wanted me to put lighting in there, what I would propose instead is a chandelier style light that meets the downshine requirements without a bare bulb. That's what I would propose. If you guys, because I do see your point, Dan. If you want lighting in those two areas, I could do that. I guess I would need to come back with to show you what I'm proposing to put in a downshine, which would be a downshine chandelier style light.
I don't have a problem with that. I like the idea of the chandelier and the problems we have with the current one that you presented, but
yeah.
I personally would be willing to look at that as a solution. I
great.
like the fact that you're thinking creatively and not just throwing anything up there. And you may be right about the design choice.
I think that's the only reasonable solution here, Jay, is to get some kind of lighting in there that hangs from the ceiling that is downward shining. And in your next resubmission, I would suggest maybe giving the committee 2 or 3 choices along those lines, so we don't have to keep revisiting this.
Sure. Sounds good to me.
Could you put that in a motion, John?
Well, let's see here. Well,
Just deny as submitted. I think Jay understands.
I think
what
just
he's-
deny it as submitted, exactly. Item motion to deny item 15, construction change request, Sovereign Homes, 21 Lost Fork, as submitted.
You understand what we're looking for though, Jay?
I do, and yeah, I can give you a couple options. I mean, it'd be great if you guys didn't get to pick, and I just said, here's two different options that I'm proposing. Are you okay with either? And if you're not okay with one, then I can take that off the list. I would still like to retain the opportunity to have a decision on the aesthetic, as long as it meets what you guys want to do.
No, and I think generally the things that you present us are aesthetically sound,
Okay.
but you know, and
Well, give
like
us
the chandelier, well,
give
it's
us two
technically
options.
not.
Give us two options that are both aesthetically pleasing. There's a motion on the table.
Yeah.
Yep. Got it.
So,
You good, Jay? All right. All in
Yep.
favor of John's motion?
Aye.
Aye. I'm sorry. Did somebody say something?
Linda's
All
on.
in-
You see that?
No, what'd you say? Patrick?
Linda's on now.
Okay. Welcome, Linda.
Could I get a clarification? Does that motion include, is it just denied and that's it? Or is it denied and provide other choices?
We could provide add that. Yes, we could add that. I think there's an understanding, but to keep it on the record, let's add that to the motion.
yeah, we don't want understandings. We want documentation. So what I've got, thank you, Diane, is deny as submitted or deny, and then provide two options for ACC choice. That's who's going to pick, right?
For the ceiling mounted light.
Got it.
All
And
in-
Jay, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
I was-
Well, is it going to be ACC choice, or is he going to submit two options and we just give approval and he can pick whichever one he likes?
It's
That would be-
probably going to be that. I think
That would be my preference.
Yeah, if we have a problem with, you know, where the light bulbs are in it or something like that, that would be our choice. But, you know, it's your design. I'd feel comfortable with you picking which one you like better.
And the other option would be to withdraw the request and install the sconce lighting as per the original approval.
Is that part of the motion?
No, I'm just making that as a note for the record. So.
Yeah, I think the motion's clear enough, and I think Jay understands where we stand on that. So if he wants to come back, I mean, at this point, it's a denial. If he wants to come back and apply with another design, that's up to him. But it is a denial, and I need a all in favor of the motion.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay. Again, thanks for working with us, Jay. And I understand where you're coming from, and I hope you understand where we're coming from.
I do. Yep, you got it. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much.
Okay, take care. Okay, I think we are on item 4 now with Matt, Chad, and William or Bill. You guys all here?
Yes, we're here.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're both here.
All right. So you made a couple of changes.
Correct.
Were you able to speak to your neighbor about the variance request?
So we went ahead and redesigned it, used some of the ideas. We dropped the house, dropped the driveway so that we don't need a variance.
All right, let's see. The variance was for 2 feet and 8 inches. Is that correct?
Daniel, did you hear me? We've withdrawn the variance request.
The original variance request,
Yes, correct.
2 feet and 8 inches, right?
I believe so.
Yes.
So how did you come down to 19.8?
Daniel, can I clarify that?
Yes, please.
Chad and Matt, I thought this was the house where the roof was 1 foot too high. Am I mixing my projects, and you guys redrew it so that it is not too high, and that's the variance?
So the original submittal was around, I think Daniel was right, it was around 2.5 feet too high.
Okay.
And we had the variance request. And then we decided to go ahead and just do the things that you guys talked about and conform to the height requirements. And so we don't have a variance request, we just have an approval of this house plan. That's what we're asking for.
And removed the request to take the tree out until we.
I'm sorry, Chad, go ahead. I only heard part of that.
Yeah, we're not asking to remove the tree at the moment anymore.
Okay.
So are you digging it down deeper to lower the foundation?
Correct.
Now it looks to me, and I may be wrong, you're lowering the house by a foot?
Yes, and then the elevation I chose last time was a different final finished grade off of a very lower section, not actually to the 10-foot location out in front of the house. It was just an area I chose that was next to the driveway and stuff, to a sloping area. That was and using more of an existing number, not an actual final finished number. And once reevaluating and redoing this and calculating everything with finding a spot within the lot of everything and following definition 2 and all the rules, we've come up with this where we're going to be able to be under.
Now, are you measuring from existing grade or finished grade?
Finished grade.
So are you just building that part of the property up a little bit to get to this measurement, or how did you come to this?
We're doing 3 things. Number 1, we dropped the angle of the driveway. So the driveway now is sloped instead of flat. And number 2, we actually dropped the house itself. So there used to be a difference between the elevation of the garage slab and the house. So that saved us another foot or so. And then we went ahead and we carefully looked at what the landscaping plan, and following the rules, we went ahead and pulled the measurement from the finished grade as per the requirements. And between those 3 things, we came in under the 20 feet.
Now, our original request was that you speak to the neighbor that's across the street, whose view you'd be obstructing. Have you decided not to talk to them, or what's the situation with that?
We were definitely under time constraints here, so we spoke with the owner, and that's a rental. Chris Weitzel owns it. So by the time we couldn't get a hold of them, so we went ahead and made these changes so that there was no issue with a variance request, recognizing that some people may or may not want to do it. So we just chose an option where we didn't need to get a variance. We have since spoken to him, and he is requesting that we remove the tree, but we know that's outside the scope of what we're talking about today. And he, anyway, that's where we're at.
So the house across the street is requesting that you remove the tree behind your house?
Yeah, so I spoke to the property owner adjacent, which is 12. And we're not asking that today. That might come up at a later point. We'll probably get an arborist report and things like that. They asked that tree is damaging their house. They asked to have it removed. Chris Weitzel, who lives on the other side, indicated that he would like to have that removed. My clients are asking that we have it removed, but at this point, we didn't want to complicate the matter because I know that was something that the AC wanted us to try to keep it. So we're not requesting that we get approval to remove it at this time. We're just asking for, kind of the simple okay on the build structure.
So are you saying that the house that is in front of this house is a rental property?
Behind. So remember, we talked about how it was going to impact the views. So
yes.
I believe it is, I think it's 15 Sudden Valley.
Inlet.
Or, sorry, 15 Inlet. And that was the one that you guys pulled out and said, like, if you want to continue with the variance, you need to reach out to this guy. And so it turns out it's Chris Weitzel. It's a rental property. So I don't know, he's on vacation or what. Anyway, so we ended up talking to his daughter, and eventually But by that, things were just transparent. We need to get this approved, so we went ahead and made the changes.
So it would be a net loss of 1 foot as far as obstruction goes.
I don't know why you're saying that. So we had to remove it.
Well, the proposed structure will actually come down 1 foot from what we.
Where are you going that? So where are you?
I'm asking you, is that true?
I don't know. What we did is we looked at the approved way of evaluating the height of the property, and we calculated it being under 20 feet. So I didn't calculate the actual elevation of the roof, but I know we made 3 different changes to accommodate that 20-foot requirement.
Okay, well, I mean, the one thing that would affect the neighbor across the street, and I still am looking at this as a variance because you're coming at us with a 22 foot 8-inch house, and you lowered it by 1 foot. It's still going to be an obstruction to the neighbor across the street. I would feel much better if we got some kind of write-off, sign off by the neighbor.
Can you go ahead?
Because that's the one neighbor that would be affected by this variance.
Sure. And my position very clearly, I want to state it very clear, is we are not asking for variance. We have submitted a package that meets the ACC requirements for roof height, and we would like you to approve that. So I'm not sure, Daniel, when you're getting back to the 1 foot, that's not what we're looking at. We're looking at what the rules are about roof heights, and we are under 20 feet. I can answer any questions about that issue.
Well, I think that the issue, Daniel, for me anyway, is I'd like to better understand the math as to how we got to this pretty significant variance to not having a variance. So that's one thing. And I think that the issue that Daniel's getting at is, I mean, there's the ACC guidelines and rules, which, is the first filtering tool that we look at to determine whether a project should go forward or not. But we also have a responsibility to the neighboring homeowners to see, like, does this fit? Like, it may be perfectly within the guidelines, but if it doesn't fit within the neighborhood, then we have to address that also. And so, Daniel, I think that's your point is.
That's exactly my point.
You may have all this other, technical stuff figured out and boxes checked, but that doesn't relieve the ACC. You may have met all the requirements according to the guidelines, but that doesn't relieve the ACC of the obligation to make sure that it still fits with the homeowners in the neighborhood and still fits with the general aesthetics of Sudden Valley. And I think that's the issue. So.
And I think that I have no problem in considering this what I'm going to call a variance still, if the neighbor is fine with that. And it sounds like you've talked to somebody and they were probably okay with it. So I don't know why you couldn't get a note from these people that indicate that they have no problem with a house at the height that you're talking about.
I have a couple issues with that, Daniel.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Chad.
It's Matt. But
it's Chad, Matt. Okay.
Yeah, we're together in the office. So
yeah,
the first one is we're trying to play by the rules. We got the sense that you didn't want to look at a variance request, and frankly, we don't want to be held hostage by neighbors. So we went ahead and we came up with a plan that should be approvable by the ACC because it does meet the requirements. So I get that we have to go ahead and conform, and we're looking at the entire neighborhood, but we have the right to go ahead and build a house that meets the ACC requirements on the height. And everybody
we are the ACC.
Right. So when you own a house that is has a buildable lot in between you and whatever you consider your view, you'd recognize that a house has potential to be built there. It's a buildable lot. The owners of this lot have the right to build a house, and the ACC should be approving things that are consistent with their rules, and it's a 20-foot height requirement. So to make things easy for everybody, we went ahead and we made some changes to design. Not that we wanted, but we did that so that we could avoid all the onerous parts about having a variance request.
And I think what you're hearing us say is we appreciate the fact that you've taken some steps to lower the height. We still have some questions as to whether the math all lines up, and we might need a better explanation of that. First, a couple of things. One, I mean, You don't have a right to build a house in Sudden Valley. You have the ability to build a house in Sudden Valley, and that ability is granted to you by the homeowners association. And we've been charged by the homeowners association to review these things. So there's no right. I mean, this isn't the US Constitution. So I want us to be clear on that. And secondly, it's not a matter of being held hostage by other homeowners in Sudden Valley, but we have a responsibility to these homeowners in Sudden Valley. So nobody's gonna hold you hostage, but we are gonna make sure that we're sensitive to the homeowners around this build before it gets done. I mean, once this happens, it's permanent and it's there. And so if we have to take some time and do due diligence to make sure that the neighborhood is comfortable and the aesthetics are respected, we're gonna do that. Nobody's holding you hostage, so.
And I'd like to point out there's this question about meeting the requirements and so forth. The ACC, the AC inspector notes, meaning Joel, on page 2 says the original first floor elevation was 348 feet 6 inches. The new first floor elevation is 347 feet 6 inches, and the house has been lowered down 1 foot. It sounds like it's still 1 foot 8 inches too tall.
Depending upon where you choose to measure, and per the definition 2, you go to the finished grade in front of a house within 10 feet of the front of the house, and at that you need to, per your definition 2, is 20 feet from within 10 feet in front of the house.
Is it true that if it's a finished grade, that grade could be whatever you make it? Is that true?
The rules say that it's the finished grade. So if you wanted to alter the finished grade by the rules, that is, to a certain degree, that would be true.
That's why we we don't like the height, but the only person that really is affected by this is the house across the street. I don't care if it's 25 feet because it's not going to affect me, but I'm concerned about the neighbor. And if the neighbor says it's fine, I'm perfectly willing to consider a variance of your 22.8. That would be fine. I'd be okay with that. I'm not speaking for the whole committee, but I would be fine with that. That is the one neighbor that I'm concerned about. And if somebody finds out that our committee approved a house that is obstructing somebody's view, I don't want to be in that position. Do you understand? Sure. I mean, it sounds like you spoke to these people and they're fine with it. Why not just go ahead and get them to sign off on it? I think that would be a much stronger case for you than piling up dirt on the side of the house. I understand how you make your measurements, but I do hope you note that in the new policies, it is the existing grade and not the finished grade. And this is exactly the reason why we changed that.
Sure.
Because that becomes sort of an arbitrary number at that point when you could just keep piling dirt up. So go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying, and you're right, it is a little bit of an arbitrary number. But to speak to Dan's point, I mean, there's, the ACC does have a very significant role in making sure that everybody's rights are protected within the Sun Valley community. But that also includes people that own land and want to develop it. And so when I mentioned that kind of the holding hostage, you could imagine a scenario where someone is just unhappy about development. Like maybe he had a great water view and suddenly we're going to build a house. But the expectation is that a buildable lot is going to have a house to be built on. And the whole point of having standards that the ACC goes ahead and looks at is to say that as long as you fall within the standards, then it should be approvable. Okay. So what we did is we presented a new set of drawings that met the rules as we understood them. We can certainly happy to go ahead and walk through how those measurements were taken to verify that it meets those rules. And we kind of feel like we shouldn't be asked to go get approval of a neighbor since we have already met the requirements, that the established requirements, so that everyone is treated fairly.
I think that's the question. That's the question. That's the question here. The committee seems to think with Joel's comments that the house has been lowered a foot, meaning there's still 1 foot 8 inches of a variance of an additional height. So that's the question. I got a couple of other observations that we're going to kind of I think we're going to slowly move away from this height thing for just a moment. Quick couple of things. There's the shed down by the water. It appears that that still has not been included in the property coverage. The committee needs dimensions of that shed, including the dimensions of the roof overhang, so that it can be included in the property coverage. So that's number one. Number two, on page 5, it looks like someone drew in a pathway down from the back of the house to the lower part next to the shed. What is that path? What's it made of? There are no details on that, on what appears to be a path being built down to the water level.
Hold on, I'm opening up the plans. I believe that was put on there that is the existing pathway down to the lower yard already. Just a trail. It's a trail, pathway trail that's in there already existing down there.
That's not what I'm seeing.
Which page is that on, John?
Page 5 of item 4.
Is it?
Work.
Go over here. Some pictures.
Page 5 of what? We are on L1. We don't have the agenda or anything.
Does it say L1 on it, John?
It says L1, yes.
Okay.
The landscaping plan.
Okay.
And that is because you want to see stuff for landscaping, trees, plants, planter beds, existing pathways, or if a gravel pathway, or not a gravel, but a landscape pathway is down to somewhere you guys would want it. Because before I didn't put that on one of the houses, and you got.
Okay. So to speak to your point, John, you're right. That's the existing. It probably is going to get removed because we'll have a different access into the house. So we'll probably have to add that to the landscaping plan.
Thank you.
Okay, so just to get back to the height again, because in my mind, this is the only sticking point.
Yeah.
You could present us with a house that has a height of 15 feet, and we may not approve it if it does not fit in the neighborhood, or if it just doesn't fit, the color's not right. We have that power. That's what we do. We look at each one of these individually. And just because we approve one in one lot doesn't mean we're going to approve it in another lot. These numbers that you see in the policy doc are a starting point, and I appreciate that you came to us with the real numbers in the beginning, and that was sort of a starting point. And this is an iterative process, like I say all the time in all these meetings, and we want to come to a point where the whole committee feels comfortable with it, and it's something you're comfortable with too. So not only do we look at the height of the house, we look at if it's appropriate. So no matter what number you tack on there, at this point, we know it's a tall house, and it will definitely affect the neighbor across the street. If the neighbor's fine with it, personally, I'm fine with it too. I can't speak for the committee again, but if you just get a message or a note from the neighbor across the street, I think this conversation will be over. But I'm always going to be concerned about the neighbors around a surrounding house. They're not holding you hostage. You are asking for a tall house. And if it's okay with the neighbor, it's okay with me.
I mean, that concept of tall is very relative and what defines
it's
a tall
relative,
house.
but you were asking for a variance in the beginning, and that's the definition of a tall house right there. And no matter how much dirt you pile up against it, it's still a tall house. And like I said, if you want to put a 25-foot house there and the neighbors are fine with it, I'll consider it. That's fine with me. But as it stands, I think we need to have the input. I mean, we're here for the neighbors. So we just want the neighbor's voice in this. I know you think we're holding a hostage just on the whims of a neighbor, but because you're asking for a tall house, which it is, that's a simple request. Just go talk to them.
But are you not also supposed to think of the interests of the owners of the lot too?
Yes, we are. We consider
your bylaws.
I'd like to find out what's the objection to getting the neighbor across the street to weigh in on this. It seems like a really simple request.
Yeah, I mean, theoretically, what if he says, I'm not happy with this? Then we can't build our house. So
That's correct.
I think yeah, we're pushing back on the need to even do that because we feel like we have met the requirements. I mean, you talk about, is it consistent with the neighborhood? You look around that neighborhood, there's lots of large, tall houses all along that, I mean, everywhere through Sun Valley, in between, the last houses on the lots to the water, there's massive houses all along there. I mean, I drive my boat down there and I see all these 3-4-story houses from the water side. So this is really consistent with all the houses that have been approved and that are built there. So it kind of takes out that whole thing, and it's consistent with what the height requirements are. So, I mean, I get that we're trying to keep everybody happy, but at some point, it's just like we went ahead and we changed the house so that we would conform, and we just want a kind of a simple approval so we can move forward with our permitting and our building process and things like that.
And your rules to follow also are protect you guys, because you can't hold one person, homeowner cannot dictate what everybody can do, because there's always someone in that development that is very, very against the building, period, and they'll argue and fight at everything. But you guys have the rules to back you guys up to protect you. We follow the rules. We said this that meets the color schemes, it meets this. We were able to approve it. If one person does not want to do it, we shouldn't be subject to, I'm not saying he is, but I'm just saying in the notion of practical thinking, one homeowner can easily say, I don't want it. And then do we have to follow that? Or is it the majority rules of how the rules are and we follow the rules? We're just trying to set that establishment with you guys that we're trying to follow the rules. We have your design rules we have to follow. And we designed to that and follow that. We're just asking you guys to help follow that too and understand that, yes, there's something that is not every homeowner is going to like what's in there. There's people that have tried to kill deals because they didn't want the lot built next to them. But you guys have used the rules to say, hey, they have the right to build. They have the right to do this because you're treating that owner as equitable as the other one, that we're protecting all rights. And we're just asking you to look at it that way.
Well, I think we are, and I think we're willing to consider a house that is too tall. And all we're asking for is that you get permission from that one neighbor, because that will very adversely affect their property. And if you want to take the house down to a lower level, regardless of how much dirt you pile up against the house, if you take it down to, 20 feet or under, then you're fine. But we've already determined from this house is already 22 feet 8 inches too high. Or 2 feet 8 inches too high, and all we're asking is that you get approval from the neighbor, and we're willing to consider your variance.
Daniel,
I categorically.
Patrick, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question. What if the neighbor doesn't approve? Would we then decline this, deny it?
They lower the house 1 foot 8 inches more.
So I categorically disagree with your premise. There are rules about what the height is and how you calculate it. We have clearly shown it. If you want to show us that we made a mistake in how we did that, that's fine. And I apologize if we made a mistake. But we've clearly shown how, based on the rules, the definition of how the height is measured, that it's less than 20 feet and that does not require variance. My mistake that we originally went ahead and we didn't think it was going to be a big difference. We wanted a flat driveway. We wanted the house a little bit raised. And so we, whether it was 6 inches or 12 inches, we're just like, okay, let's just apply for a variance and hopefully it's not a big deal. But in order to prevent us having to go through that whole system, we went ahead and using the rules, we identified a house that meets the requirements, the 20 feet. And you just said, Daniel, you said, if you lowered it so it was 20 feet, then it's not an issue. I am categorically saying that we have lowered it to 20 feet. And if you would like to deny on that, I just want to go on record that saying that we have met the height restrictions and by your own definitions. And you can't ask us to play by rules that aren't your own definitions.
I think
right?
you need to take
I want to go on record, legal record, because I know you record these, that we have met the 20-foot height restriction.
Okay, you're on the record as far as that goes. You need to take this up with Joel Carter, because the information that we have now says that you lowered the house 1 foot, and that leaves 1 foot 8 inches that the house is currently too tall. We're asking you to get the neighbor's approval. If they don't approve that, then you'd have a discussion with Joel to determine exactly if it's 20 feet or more. And if it's more than 20 feet, then you'd have to lower the house to the acceptable guidelines.
John,
Can
you're
we get a
assuming
time,
that the original.
Alan, can we get
You're
a time check
assuming
on
that
this?
the original.
Alan, can we get a
You're
time check on
assuming
this,
that the
please?
original
Alan,
plan.
can we get a time check on this?
You're at 30 minutes.
30
No,
minutes.
we need to move off of this. I agree with John.
We've determined, based on the original submission and the current submission, that this house is too tall for the neighborhood.
Okay.
All we're asking for is a letter from the neighbor saying this, they're willing to accept, which is, I'm considering it a variance because it's still taller than it's supposed to be.
Or
And
what definition and location
verify-
you're doing your measurement from?
we
Where
have
are you
determined
taking the
that.
measurement from?
We have determined that. The committee has
From
determined
what
that.
measurement on the lot are you determining that? What location?
Why don't we have Joel verify the height, their measurements?
Yeah, I was going to say.
I think that's a good solution.
Well, he actually already did, but he can re-verify it.
I think it would be
Okay.
helpful to have.
I want to make one other point, and that is that what you're doing is you're comparing the original submission to this submission. And as you all know, and as you point out regularly, sometimes there's problem with submissions. What I would ask Joel to verify is that the current submission meets the requirements of being under a 20-foot height and therefore does not require a variance. That seems reasonable to me. And if that's not the case, then you're right. Then we either should go to the neighbors and request a variance, or we should redesign the house.
That's the issue. Is we're talking about some numbers and some approaches here, and it would be really helpful if we had Joel here to walk us through some of this with the builder. We don't have that, so we can't move forward today. I mean,
Okay.
I don't think anybody feels comfortable moving forward today without that. So the issue would be to move off of this project for now, get Joel in the meeting to go over this. And I think the admonition is still there, regardless of whether it's just squeaks under the height requirement or whether there's a variance. Belts and suspenders, guys, is to get the neighbor to sign off on this thing. That would make everybody in this committee feel a lot better.
Could I get a motion?
I've recorded.
Oh, I'm sorry, Alan. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I've recorded a number of things along the way, action items for Rubicon. Let me repeat these back to everybody, then we'll go for the motion, and I want to know whether they still apply or not. There was a question about the shed and add the shed dimensions to the property coverage. Is that still a request?
Yes.
There was a request to provide details on the path to the lower yard / water and add that to the landscape plan. Is that still a request?
I'd like to see details on that. Yes.
Okay. There was a re-request of the earlier request to get the neighbor's input, the neighbor at 15 Inlet Circle. Is that still a request? Or is that
yes?
Okay. And then the fourth one was a new one, request to get Joel to verify the height of the current submission.
Yeah, I would add a little flavor to that, and not just verify, but if we could see like kind of a before and after, or what was originally proposed in terms of elevations, it would really help me to see a profile of like, this was the original elevation, this was the original foundation of the house. Now we've moved the elevation, the base elevation to here, and this is where the house is going to be moved, and we can see that difference. And then we can get some explanation as to why we just changed the baseline. That's how does a baseline just get changed? The house itself didn't really change much in size. It was shrunk down a little bit. It was dropped a little bit lower, but we changed the starting point. And why did we change the starting point, and what does that look like? That would be helpful for me to see those profiles.
Okay.
I would think that if we have Joel and he verifies the height, that it doesn't matter if we have the approval or a comment from the neighbor across the street.
I would agree, Patrick. At that point, then we have to make a judgment call as to whether it fits within the guidelines and fits with the neighborhood and, isn't going to be obnoxious to the guy across the street. I'm just saying for the builder, a belts and suspenders would be to go have that conversation, which it sounds like they already had. And if that homeowner is willing to send something that says, yeah, I've looked at the plans and, you know, I don't have an issue with it, or here's what I'd like to see as sort of a mitigation for it, then we'll take that into consideration. I don't know that it necessarily needs to be a requirement if they meet all the technical guidelines and we're comfortable with that. It just goes, for me, it gives the ACC a lot more comfort level knowing that this property's been vetted with the neighbors, which is what we're here to do. Like, that's our responsibility. And I appreciate the fact, gentlemen, that, you know, you own the lot and so forth, and I'm a property rights guy and you should be able to build on property. I understand that, but at least for me, my responsibility is to the existing homeowners in Sudden Valley, not the existing lot owners. That needs to be taken into consideration, but the predominance of my responsibility lies with the people that live here. And so we're going to do due diligence to make sure that that gets done correctly. That's all we're doing in this case.
That's exactly it, Dan.
Then I will move from 4 action item requirements to only 3, eliminating the neighbor's input. If I am correct, all I need is somebody to volunteer to make the motion and then a vote, and then we can move on.
I'll make that motion based on what Alan reiterated.
I would say we still should get the neighbors' input. And then all these other things can be verified with Joel and the shed and the pathway. Leaving the neighbor out at this point might be delay the whole process even further if Joel comes back and says, yes, the house is over 20 feet. So I would say leave the neighbor approval in the submission.
Okay.
And see how things fall out.
Well, leave the neighbor if it doesn't meet the height requirements per Joel.
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll make that as a secondary action item based on the results of Joel's research.
So we've got 4 items.
We have 3 items that must be done. The 4th item becomes a may be done based on Joel's work, which is the 3rd one.
Okay.
Conditional.
Condition. Well, that's not you're denying it with 3 action items.
I'm sorry. I meant that the 4th item is conditional on what Joel says.
Correct. Necessary or not based on what he says, or conditional. Dan,
thank you, everyone. I just want to say I'm definitely in approval of this. This makes sense to me. So thank you.
What was it?
I'm sorry, Matt.
I just said I'm in agreement with this. This makes it very clear what we need to do, and I think it's a good path forward. So thank you for making those statements.
Okay. So, is everybody clear on the motion?
No.
All right. I will repeat. These are the 3 requirements.
Wait. Who's making the motion?
Dan made the motion.
The motion that Alan is going to so beautifully articulate for me.
The 3 required action item is to provide shed dimensions and add them to the property coverage numbers or formula. The second one is to provide details on the path to the lower yard / water in the landscape plan sheet. The 3rd one is for Joel to verify the height of the current submission and provide before and after elevations to show the differences. If Joel's work shows it to be in violation of the roof height requirement, then Joel and I will communicate that to Matt and Chad, and then they will go talk to the neighbor at 15 Inlet Circle and obtain their approval for the build.
Dan Vink, is that your motion?
That sounds like it was my motion.
Motion to deny item 4?
Yep.
Patrick, you good?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. All in favor of that motion?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Yeah.
Joe Jean is opposed? Okay.
Yeah.
The dissenter.
Oh, Georgina opposed? Okay.
Yeah. Okay, again, thanks for working with us, guys. I hope you understand our concerns, and I think you do. I just want to make sure that everybody's comfortable with this build, and again, thanks for working with us.
Yeah, I appreciate where we ended up. Hey, one real quick question. I noticed that we weren't on the agenda for 4 and 6 Sandwick, and we did have everything posted in a day ahead of time. Could you tell us what's going on as far as that?
I'm not sure about, yeah, I'm not sure about posting ahead of time. I can send you screenshots of the receipt. Basically, the cutoff is 12 noon, and I don't know when you submitted it, but we received it after that cutoff time.
We sent it in a day before the cutoff. So we sent it in maybe 12:30 on the day before, and we have our email threads here to look at that. So, if I had the date wrong, I'm just trying to clarify that because I hope you guys recognize we're just trying to be as efficient as possible. We have a long process to go through to get permits approved after we get your acceptance. So we're trying to be timely on what we're accomplishing.
I appreciate it.
The committee appreciates how far in advance that you're working with us on this. Thank you for your consideration.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Alan, maybe you could get back to us at some point and let us know if we made a mistake. Why that is.
Yeah, at the risk of dethroning, I will very quickly share my screen that shows the time. It was received Thursday.
When's the cutoff coming out?
It's Thursday at 12 noon, and it was received after that, although on Thursday.
31st is Friday.
Okay, so we have confirmation of that. Can we move on, please? We're over 35 minutes on this one.
Sure.
But did we confirm that we were about 24 hours early on our submission?
Negative. If it comes in, can you see it? I don't know if you can.
We see a blank page.
I see a blank screen.
But you said it came in on Thursday, and the due date was on Friday.
No, the due date is Thursday at 12 noon.
Your website says submitted request by 1:31 at noon. So that's conflicting information then.
I will take a look.
And that's fine. If that was the problem, but the website says Friday at noon.
One way or another.
I think that may be a typo, and it should have been the 30th. It's always 1 week before on Thursday at noon. Nothing has ever changed. There may be a typo on the website.
Thank you, Diane.
One way or the other, it's not on the agenda.
Thanks for your time, everybody. We'll get out of here.
Okay, thanks. All right, item number 3.
I hope eventually it sinks in with these developers. They're just showing up here and browbeating us isn't the way to go about it. Like, holy cow.
In our defense, and with much love in my heart, I'm looking at the ACC website. It says the next meeting is Thursday 2/6. Submission deadline is Thursday 1:30.
Yeah.
At 12 noon.
We're all good.
There's
Send him
well, they're informed by Joel about the standard check deadline, right?
Well, these guys should know by now. They should know by now that what the deadline is. They submit stuff all the time, and
unfortunately, there is a typo in the graph, that says when the submission time is, where it gives you the agenda and the minutes, and it does say 1:31. It's a typo.
Oh, I don't know.
I think we're covered by page 1, where it's clearly 1:30. It's always been the Thursday before at noon.
Okay, let's press on.
Either way, we won't consider those properties today.
That doesn't affect us now.
Patrick wants us to move on to item number 3.
Yes, let's do that.
Does anybody have any comments on that? It looks good to me.
My only comment would be that, and I don't have any reason to believe that they intend to do this, but you can't use railroad ties in this kind of situation. But other than that, I think the steps look great.
Yeah, I don't think the quality of the photograph came in. It doesn't look like railroad ties. It looks like.
No, those are 4x6 treated lumber.
Yeah.
I think looks like they're doing a nice job trying to clean up the property. So.
Yep.
I agree. I just wish that they had included the length and maybe a site map showing that it's not in the setbacks or on the neighbor's property. We get kind of dinged on these things someone comes over and says, hey, you just built it on my property, or hey, it's 50 feet long, and it's, you know, and we weren't aware of the length. I'm just pointing that out, just like we can think that's a good plan and then find out later that it's completely
Yeah, I guess
overrun.
going forward, Alan, if you could just confirm those kind of things. It looks like it's a like for like thing, but we
That's
can't be sure about that.
That's what I took away is the old steps had rotted, and this was a drawing to indicate what it's going to look like, but it's going to go over existing.
Okay. Yeah, just we've made assumptions in the past.
Okay. Do you have a
Okay.
motion for this yet?
Anybody have a motion?
Motion to approve item 3, exterior alteration request, 14A Inlet Circle as submitted.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? You okay with this one, Joe Jean?
About 20 minutes ago.
All right, all
I
right.
think you're, you don't have your sound on.
Yes, I heard her.
I heard her loud and clear.
Oh. Or Linda or Joe Jean?
Joe Jean.
Yeah, I was talking about Linda.
JJ.
I don't think
Linda.
your sound on. Say something.
No, we can't hear Linda.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. We always hear Joe Jean.
We hear you all the time too.
Okay, folks, let's move on.
All right.
Linda, figure out your volume, please.
No, yeah, I'm not real good. Can you hear me now?
Yep, we
Yep,
gotcha.
yep.
Okay.
Okay, item 6.
I know exactly where this is. I walk past there pretty regularly. These are the condos down kind of on the corner there. It looks like they want to put that motion light within the boundaries of the condo association. I think it's admirable that they're asking approval on that.
Yeah, I just question whether, I mean, this could be a problematic lighting situation. It looks like they could be facing out to some of the other some of the condos. From the drawing, it looks like it's supposed to go just straight down, but I mean, the design of light that they're showing us could shine across the street. That's my concern. I just wonder if everybody's aware that there's going to be some lighting there.
Yeah, I think we need to know if the association has approved it.
It
Right,
says
who submitted this? It just says Richfield Condo Owners Association and then someone's scribbly hand signature at the bottom. So who is this? We don't know.
Are you there, Alan?
He's on mute.
I mean, there's, you know, there could be some ambient light that goes across the street a long ways away to Sudden Valley, but most of these, you know, this is going to be, there's a light, it's going to be the condos that are going to get lit up. So to me, as long as it's okay with the condo association, I don't have a problem with it.
I agree.
Yeah, if they have a problem with it, they'll go to them, not to us. So I appreciate that they're concerned about the mail problems that we have here, and this is their solution.
Sorry, I'm back, folks. There was a minor emergency, snow emergency here.
Yeah, we just wondered about who actually made this submission, and we just wanted to ensure that they're speaking for everybody, and we can just assume that. Is that correct?
It was a single person from the condo association who was making the request on behalf of it. This seemed to be more of a maintenance kind of thing, because I don't think he's going to install. I could be wrong, but I don't think he's planning on installing the lights. He's requesting that lights be installed, which is a larger issue.
Yeah.
I would say that this submission, if we're asked to approve or deny it, should be made by the president of the homeowners association for Richfield.
The condo owners association.
Correct. Yeah. If this is just a person who lives there, I don't see how they have the authority to install this and so forth and so on. So
Yeah, we need the backing of the, so
I'm so sorry because I was sick last week. I didn't even realize, I haven't even looked at any of these because I was out. But in the past, you're absolutely right. It has to be from the condo association, not from an individual at the condos.
Well,
And who's gonna
the owner submittal is Richfield Condominium Owners Association, but then the mailing address is Unit 23. And I don't know if Unit 23 might be the mailing address for the association.
I don't think so, Dan. I think this was one of the homeowners of there who, in conjunction with the mail theft issues, was hoping to get, partial resolution on this by doing the lights. And
well, I would say this should be have a motion to deny item 6 exterior alteration request with the comment that we need if this is coming to us for determination, that we need the president of the Richfield Condo Owners Association.
sure.
And who plans to install the lights?
Well, that's something that I can, when I go back to this submitter or work with the president of the association, is something that I can flesh out with them, whether that's something they want to take on to their capital plans, or they're saying, hey, it's the mailbox cluster, go for it, and asking SVCA to do it. And I can come back and report offline between meetings.
Well, I don't think they're asking us to do it. I mean, it's just a post outside at their announcement board. That's where they post their general announcements. And this is a solar mounted light, so it's 2 screws and click and it's on. It's not a heavy lift, but I think the motion is appropriate to deny and request resubmittal from the association, homeowners association directly, like some verification on letterhead or something that this is coming from the homeowners association.
Is that the motion you made, John?
That's correct.
Okay.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay.
And just for the record, I think it's a good idea, provided that it doesn't shine into people's windows and stuff. But I think it's a decent plan. I think we just need homeowners association.
It's a good idea, but I'm skeptical about that type of lighting.
Correct. Okay, thanks. Let's move on.
All right, let's go to item 7. Looks like they're changing the roof design a little bit. I didn't see any problems. Anybody else?
No.
No, it seemed like just an improvement for drainage. So
yeah,
if there's no other comments, I'll make a motion to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay. Item 9. 10 Inglewood Place.
So the ACC admin notes say tree number 2 is on SVCA property. And looks like the other tree in question is tree number 1 is in really bad shape.
Yeah, I think wasn't tree number 2 removed, Alan? Didn't you say that?
Correct. That's correct. It was damaged during the last wind and moved. The request.
I'm sorry, tree number 2 is gone already?
No, tree number 1 is gone.
Okay, got it. And tree number 2 is what we're
correct
determining right now?
Tree number 2 is on SVCA property, right?
Right.
That one is still there? Which one was removed?
I believe number 1 was removed.
So the owner moved that?
The top of number 1 broke off. It's on the pictures on page 2 of 2.
Okay, so both of those trees are still there.
Correct.
No,
the top of one of them is gone.
I think we can approve removal of tree 1, and tree 2 is up to Sun Valley to do.
I agree. That's a good motion. Would you like to make that motion?
Well, I think that we could decide whether it's, well, I guess we don't have any say in that. if it's on Sudden Valley property?
No,
It looks how
it's already been viewed by Mike Brock. He's the one who determined that
okay.
they had their drawing backwards. And that's why there's confusion here.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
they mislabeled the trees on their original submission. The drawing that you see on there on page 1 is actually Mike Brock making it clear which one is which, and
Okay.
he's dealing with the SVCA tree.
Okay. So we're looking at a tree that was kind of damaged from a storm.
Right.
Whether it should be removed or not. Okay. Anybody have any comments or motion?
I move that we approve the removal of the tree 1 on their property.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And
All opposed? I'm sorry, John?
were we making a determination about tree number 2? Because that's in the submission. That should be up to Mike Brock and
Right. Yeah.
maintenance.
Yeah. So I guess we're staying out of that one.
So
We're
getting-
talking about 1 on our vote. Is that the understanding?
Yes. Remove tree 1.
Sounds good.
All opposed? Okay, so that was unanimous, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, item 10. I guess this is a follow-up of a checklist from Joel and Alan
Yeah.
after review the final
Yeah.
inspection.
It is as a result of the final inspection, which is still going on. The inspection generated a punch list of items. These are just a couple of them. There are going to be more coming in. These were the easier ones to process. So item 10 is the color that was submitted and approved originally is not the color that was used on the house. This is the color that was used.
And this is an approved color, I guess, right?
It's close.
Yeah.
And
I don't have it.
it's already been done, correct?
Correct.
This is the builder who asks, does things and then asks for permission later. And we're gonna have the next one, item 11, along those same lines.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think we need to approve it, but maybe a recommendation that fines be assessed. Yeah.
I would feel comfortable recommending that because of the the consistency of problems that we're having with it. So yeah,
Patrick, to be clear, you're suggesting a fine based on construction actions which did not follow the approved design?
Yep.
a construction change that took place without our approval.
Right. And so this property has had multiple construction change requests, and they're not changes. They were like, they've already been done. So they were just information requests. My comment would be that there should be a fine for every single one of those change requests, not just like one lump sum, like one fine for all of the 15 that she submitted on this thing. So every time we have to do a construction change approval that's already been done, we're recommending a fine be attached to that. That's my thought.
I feel comfortable with that recommendation also.
Is there a number that you had in mind?
It's ultimately
I would leave that.
It's up to SVCA administration to determine those fines. You guys can recommend.
This is our recommendation, and the fines would be up to admin.
Diane, is there a guideline for those fines? Like, do they have something to point to, or is it just like what side of the bed they woke up on that morning?
It is going through, the general manager reviews the entire history of the house and will assess whatever fines he feels are appropriate.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think this would be something that I'm sure they would communicate with you and Alan on, and you can convey that this has been just one continual do whatever I want to do and ask for us to approve it later on. So I think a fine of some magnitude is appropriate here.
So my understanding is, as we go through and do the finish, Diane, keep me honest, as we go through and finish the final inspection, Joel and I will prepare the processing of the builder's deposit minus any fines that are being withheld. And that'll come at the end of the construction cycle. Do I have that right, Diane?
Yes, when the final is finalized.
Correct. And so we're in that phase of satisfying the.
I don't know if we want to go too much into that
Sure,
in
sure.
a meeting. I think all we're saying is that we recommend these.
Okay, so
findings.
do we have a motion to approve or
I
deny?
think we had a motion going, didn't we? Did somebody make a motion on this?
I moved on item 10 that we approve the paint change and recommend fines be assessed.
Got it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay. Item 11,
11, yeah.
construction change.
So
I'll
this,
make this
yeah.
motion, same thing, that it be approved and fines be assessed as determined.
Anybody have any further comments? All in favor of Patrick's motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay. Item 13, 28 Lost Lake Lane. This is one that Patrick and I did actually go to. And we talked to the neighbor next door who actually included a note that he was okay with this whatever they do. He likes the neighbor, so he's fine with anything really. But this is a very unusual fence for Sudden Valley. It would be it looks like it would encompass the whole backyard with a solid fence, which I don't know if anybody in Sudden Valley has anything like that.
On the lot line.
On the lot line, which incidentally the neighbor was fine with, but you know, we're not.
Now, may I ask, the submission is for 28 Lost Lake Lane, and Matt Burke, page 3, is at 1 Yearling Place.
Yeah, they're adjacent properties.
Okay. And the neighbors on the left or the right, Daniel?
On the left, yeah. I guess they're both sort of on the corner of the street.
What's on the right
Yearling
side?
And the fences that border this property are the hog wire fences. Although
Say it again.
the part that faces the Inlet Circle Road looks down on his deck, and so, you know, I would think we would want to put a privacy fence for that part of it, and hog wire on the rest. So
I mean, at this point, I think it's deny as submitted.
right.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to deny as submitted with the comment that the fence covers too large of an area in the backyard. There's no specified setbacks. It can't be on the property line. And having a fence of this design is inconsistent with guidelines and inconsistent with what's acceptable in Sudden Valley. I mean, there's just, we can't start letting people fence their entire backyard with these solid wood fences. It's gonna look like California before it's all said and done.
Yeah.
And I would say a future submission should have the fence staked and strong, just so there's no confusion about who's building what where.
Yeah, it was not staked.
And that the neighbors can see it as well.
All right, I'll amend my motion to include John's last point.
Okay. All in favor of Dan's motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. It also looked to me like they would probably have to cut down a lot of bushes and other foliage to put this fence up. So there's another problem. Okay. Item 14. Is that right?
Yeah. 600
Okay.
Is this our last one?
This is our last one.
Yeah.
I personally have gone back and forth on this a lot. We've seen this issue. I think we saw it last year and went back and forth on it quite a bit. And it is a perennial problem. This guy has a trailer right in his front yard, right within the setbacks, actually. It's got a electricity going to it. He described it as he has a dehumidifier in it because it, which is indicative of the problem. He's got it's a trailer that's getting moldy in his front yard, practically on the street. So it's definitely a problem that has to be rectified.
Is that his trailer in the picture there?
That is his trailer, and I think what he's proposing is pushing the trailer back. And I think Patrick pointed out to him that it would have to go 20 feet back into the setback.
Right away.
Which would the right of way, yeah, and which would the design would actually be to dig into his property because it's a hill,
right,
and then build a wall up against it, and then put privacy screening around that. This is definitely a problem that needs to be solved. I personally am not convinced that's the right solution. We talked to him and told him about our concerns. We warned him that Patrick and I were there. He wants to work with us. I think he's looking for us to provide a solution, which is really not our job. But essentially what we're looking at is what are the dimensions of this structure he's proposing? Is it 20
by
20 feet?
10 foot across and 20 foot deep, I believe.
Yeah.
But you're saying if he went 20 foot deep, he'd have to excavate out of the side of the property?
That's what I was trying to say.
You would have to cut into the hillside to move the trailer back to obtain the necessary clearance between the right of way and the front of the trailer camper.
And when we talked to him, he said he has no problem doing that.
Well, he really wants to keep this trailer on his property. At this point, you'd have to put retaining walls around that. At this point,
No, it's not that steep a grade. You're not going.
He actually did mention retaining walls, Alan, when we spoke to him.
Oh, okay. I think he just demonstrates his willingness to get it done.
I think that location is not going to work for me. He did propose last year to put it on the side of the house, which probably wouldn't be seen by a lot of people. I think if we do carve out some solution for him, it would probably be on that side of the house rather than in the front. I can't envision any kind of structure that would work for me in the front there.
What are the homeowners guidelines on storing trailers and RVs and stuff on your property?
Yeah, Alan, did you look into that with?
I did. Yeah, it is a subject which deserves greater specificity in defining what is and is not acceptable. As currently written, items such as RVs, recreational vehicles, boats, sea-doos, campers, trailers, all those things are not approved on the property unless they're in a garage, a carport, or other suitably screened areas. The problem is, what is suitably screened? We're talking about, we have all these items in carports and they're visible from the street, and that's a violation. If you put a screen up so that they are no longer visible, technically that is not a violation anymore.
Well, depending on what our interpretation of appropriate screening is.
And that's the part that I think needs to be re-examined. If I may, for just another minute.
Yeah.
In the next Valley Views, we're going to talk about parking. And then right after that, we're going to breach the subject of boats, trailers, campers in the homes. And my hope is I'll be able to get a position from SVCA management leadership, Michael, basically, and then I'll run that by the ACC for concurrency. Certainly we'll add it to, Daniel, your list of possible idea improvements, or more wordsmithing to be more specific. So yeah. That's basically it.
Okay. So what's in front of us now is whether we're going to determine whether this is appropriate covering for this trailer.
It's really, a screen, if you will. And what I'm hearing is the location where it is currently is not acceptable, but if he were to move it to the side of his house where he's probably shown you and shown me, and then we do the screening there, that might be more acceptable. Is that?
I'm thinking if there is a solution,
So
it would take place there.
I was really involved with this guy the first 3 times he submitted. And again, I'm sorry I wasn't here last week because this is definitely a resubmission. When I talked to him last year, there was no place next to his house that he could consider.
Well,
and
I think the discussion was that it would be up next to his house, like by a carport kind of solution.
Okay, because
I think what I'm thinking about is down that sort of side road.
Yeah.
And
that's where
behind
he
those
had,
trees.
that's where he had proposed last
Right,
year on his
right.
multiple submissions, even to the point where Mike Brock went out there and he did look at it. And Mike said that, you know, if the ACC were to approve the area up that keyway, you know, Mike didn't have a problem with, he believed he could approve a little driveway or whatever over the edge of the, you know, the right of way to get him into his third lot there.
Because it would require a culvert.
Something
Yeah.
like that. He needs
Yeah.
access to put it on that little side up the hill driveway.
Yeah, I think we can't give him a solution at this point. I think all we could do at this point is decide whether what he's proposing is appropriate.
And I can decide that it's not. We shouldn't we should not be allowing storage unless it's within the guidelines and fits with the aesthetics of the neighborhood. To just build freestanding RV storage on people's lots is a very slippery slope.
Yes, we're not approving that this is a problem at this point, and our denial or approval of this is not saying that we allow this kind of thing to happen. It sounds like Dan is making a motion.
I just want to make one final comment, is that this homeowner is way out of compliance right now, and he's asking for a solution of a solid wood fence that's going to only partially hide a trailer, and it's just completely, the submission itself is unclear and lacking coherent details. I'm very much opposed to this fence. Even if he pushes it back 20 feet, I'm going to oppose that as well.
Was there any conversation with him? Like, why can't he just go park this thing in an RV storage like what most people do?
His point is that he owns 3 pieces of land and that he feels like he should be able to build something to accommodate this trailer.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying if there is a solution, it would have to be back there where nobody else can see it. This is about the worst location I can imagine storing that trailer from a neighbor's perspective.
Well, then he should submit a construction request to build a covered lot or covered structure on that property like it would be a house, and then he could park his trailer in it.
Well, that's, as I understand it, that's what was part of the denial in his previous submission, is that he had a freestanding structure with a roof, you know, 4 posts. It wasn't enclosed, so it was more of a carport thing, and that was denied.
Yeah,
Well,
but it was right up on the edge of the property.
It sounds to me like he needs to finesse his application a little more, maybe go back to the drawing board, but finesse that one. The one in the front, it sounds like it's a dead on arrival.
Yeah. Okay. The solution, if he wants a solution, the solution is to take it to RV storage like everybody else does and should do. I mean, I got 2 neighbors that have RVs and they pull them out when they go, and then they go park them, one of them in Bellingham, the other one in Alger. So.
Okay. So, Dan, I have you as a motion to deny. And is there any comments or mitigations or instructions? Find a new location?
I would say motion to deny as submitted, that RV storage is not permitted on the lots in Sudden Valley. So.
Yeah, I don't want Dan to be offering solutions for him. Just I think that's probably something you and he need to talk over, Alan. I think we're denying at this point. So, all in favor for Dan's motion?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay. I think that's everything, right?
Yep. That is everything. 10:56, just under 2 hours.
I was thinking it would be an hour too. All right, so this meeting is adjourned at 10:55.
Just a quick question. Have we gotten all the